My name is Savio Rodrigues. As my name suggests, and as sometimes people on Twitter say, you're a rice bag. Rice bag. So the first time I heard it, I was like, why is he calling me a rice bag? So I went and did a little bit of research as to what's this idea of a rice bag. And then I realized that a lot of conversions that happened in different parts of the country, ancient and even now, has this significance of a rice bag. But I find it amusing because even yesterday somebody said you're a rice bag. And I find it amusing because my family, where I come from, which is a constituency in Verandah, which is a neighboring constituency to my sister here, Shefali, which is Kunkulim. We have a lot of fields. So my ancestors, my grandparents, I know and I've been told used to work in these fields, and we used to have these rice fields of our own. So I don't know where the rice bag concept comes about, but we never got any rice stuff. We were the guys who had the fields, right? But, why my ancestors converted, what were the reasons? It could have been force, it could have been coercion, it could have been torture, or maybe they chose it. I don't know. But what I do know was that I was born in the Christian faith. And what I learned from my mother in particular, because my mother is a very devout Catholic woman, who's brought me up in this very, very Indic value system. I wouldn't even call it a Western value system, but a very Indic value system. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So, because I come from Goa, because I have a Christian name, and because I have some connection to Portugal, okay, when I was growing up, and because I lived abroad, I would consider myself to be a foreigner. And I detested everything that was Indian. So when I would come here on holidays, the first time I came to Goa when I was very young, I was like, this is a ghost village. I'm not going to stay here for more than 2-3 days. That was my reaction. Because in the olden days in Goa, you used to have the lavatory outside, and then there would be these pigs that were supposed to take care of your lavatory requirements, right? So I had a crazy experience with that, and that frightened me a lot. So I didn't, there was a snot that came out from somewhere, and I was screaming and I was running naked around in the home of my ancestors, and everybody was laughing at me. So that stayed in my head. So I was like, I'm not coming to this ghost-like village. And when I would come to Bombay, and we stayed in Andheri, we were very close to the Marol pipeline. So the pipelines have water, and then there are some pipelines that have a lot of crap on it, because there were not much toilet facilities there, So that their toilet was also a prem katha at that point of time, right? So for me, everywhere it was all about dirt, it was about people. I wore a Nike shoe that time, and I never wanted to remove my shoe when I went to somebody's home, because I thought somebody would rob my shoes. So my idea of India was that of, strange people, fighting, dirty, all that. And I never wanted to come back here. But in one of my holidays, when I was 9 years of age, my grandfather, who's very wise, he's no longer with us, and I'm sure when he's looking at me now, he's like completely amused by what I'm doing, said, come here, son, I want to tell you something. I said, what? So he says, you might make fun of India right now. You might consider yourself to be a foreigner. That's okay. But there will come a time in your life when Mother India will call you, and you will drop everything and you will come back to it. So, way back in 1999-2000, most of my family members in Dubai and my friends in Dubai were migrating to Canada. I had a choice as well, but I chose not to, If you ask me why you did it, I still don't know. But I came into India and it's been a fabulous ride. The very thing I used to detest is the very thing I love, and I don't even know why. I just love it right now, And it's not because I'm in politics, it's not because I had a media company, it's just this inner belief that to me, Bharat Mata is more important than any other thing. So when I started raising the issues, and we used to run Goa Chronicle for the last 12 years, but we were not nationally recognized as a publication, online publication. But there was a time, what happened in 2018, when Archbishop Anil Kuto made a statement, and a lot of the people within the Christian community, very, very learned people, supported that statement and said, yes, the democracy in danger, Christians are in danger. And I'm a person of numbers and facts, so I went and did a little research and said, what is the real atrocities towards the Christian community? Let me look into it. And then I found out that the numbers did not correspond to the population of the Christian community. These were numbers, for example, let me give you an example. In 2021, a Christian organization called the United Christian Forum, a report that was carried by many publications, even international publications, there were 348 cases of religious conflicts in the Christian community, or atrocities against Christians. But for that same corresponding year, the population of the Christians in India was 3.12 crore. So you have 348 cases of atrocities and 312 crore people. Does that mean all the Christians are in danger in India? Now let me give you another figure. In US in 2021, there were 953 cases of atrocities against the Jews. In UK, there were roughly about 1,600 atrocities against the Jews. In Canada, there was another 200 or 300 atrocity cases. So does that make Joe Biden Hitler? Does that make the ruler of UK Hitler?
No.
Right? Why is it that nobody is talking about the atrocities of the Jews there? It's much more than the atrocities happening here. Right? So, the fear psychosis, and why I say it's important for us to understand what is happening in the country and why I decided to open my mouth. Normally I let my writing do the talking, but this time I decided to take the words from the writing into my mouth and say, let's talk. Okay? Because I think we live in a civilized society, and the very principle of Sanatan Dharma is an ability to understand different points of view. My religion is not my nationalism. My religion is my personal space, it is my family space, it is my community space. And that religion is my choice. It's not anybody else's choice. Right? So when I stand up and I say I'm an Indian first and a Christian second, I mean that. Today, if I have to go against my country because of my religion, because of certain sections of the community that see the current government, which is the government I support, in a negative light, I will not do that. Why? It's not because of the government. It is because of India itself. As a Christian, Bharat is my mother as well. As a Christian, this is my country as well. And it is my sole duty that while I protect the rights of the Christian, is to protect the rights of my Hindu brothers and sisters as well. Because the very genesis of the hate in the country right now is the demonizing of the Sanatan Dharma principles of Bharat Mata itself. That is the hate. Everywhere you go, every media, whether international or locally, is only focusing on the evils that exist in the Hindu community, is only focusing on the evils that they presume are a part of Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is not about hate. In fact, I started to understand Sanatan Dharma because of my Christian faith. Let me explain what I mean by that. There is the religion, which is the teachings, and then there is the institution. The institution in a place like Goa, because of the Inquisition, because of the need for proselytization, has failed when it decided to convert people, when it decided to unleash the Goa Inquisition. That was done by the Catholic Church as an institution. An institution what some people followed orders of and some people continue to believe was the right thing to do. But does that mean that the belief of a common man who believes in that faith for reasons he doesn't know, maybe he's born into, is that man wrong? So when I raised this issue, one of the senior leaders in the church asked me, the issues that you're raising, whether it was the Bishop Franco Mulakal's rape case, whether it's other issues of corruption within the Catholic Church, they wanted to sit me down and tell me that these are issues within the church, you should not be making it public. So I asked them, if a minister, for example, or an MP was involved in a crime of, an alleged crime of rape, as a journalist, what would you want me to do? The senior leader of the church said, of course, you have to write about it. I said, then what is the wrong that I'm doing now? The government is an institution. The church is an institution. Have I in any way attacked the faith? Who am I to judge the faith? I am no one to judge a person's faith. Today a person puts a stone and believes that that stone is God. But he, with his own work, with his own sacrifices, leads a life of a good person. Would that mean that his God is wrong? No. So when I was discussing this with another priest, he said, so I asked him, I said, you have John. John is a person who goes to church every Sunday. Without fail. He goes to church, he's seen in church. But after he comes out, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, he's an alcoholic, he's a womanizer, he beats his wife, he abuses his children. That is John to you. Now there is Ram. Ram never visits the temple at all. Maybe once in a year, maybe. He's not a temple guy. He doesn't do the temple run at all. Right? But he never beats his wife. He works hard so that his children have a good education. He does not drink or smoke or sleep with other women. So please tell me, Father, between John and Ram, who, according to Jesus, should be in heaven? Because if you're telling me John has to be in heaven, then I don't believe in that Jesus. Right? So the role of the Indian Christian today is not about religion. The role of the Indian Christian today is what is my responsibility in the nation, Christians over a long period of time have contributed immensely to India. There are good people within the army, doctors, lawyers, educationists, and you do have some in politics as well. But when we start creating this aura of hate, when they start feeling persecuted for reasons not known to them, for misinformation, for this really horrible university called WhatsApp University. I think you should never send your children to WhatsApp University, including the adults. Don't take your future courses at WhatsApp University. You don't get the right information. They are only led to believe that this government, the RSS, and every other Hindu organization is against them. And that's not the truth. You will always have conflict when you look at things from the basis of religion. Last year I did a course with an international university on religion, conflict and peace. If I take the name of the university, people will start saying, oh my God, this is a controversial university because everybody uses its name nowadays. So I'm not going to name it. But the point is, I studied about 50 different conflicts in different parts of the world. And you know what's the root of every conflict? Religion. Christians fighting Muslims, Christians fighting Christians, Muslims fighting Muslims. And in India, because there was a chapter on India at the Babri Masjid as well, we have Muslims and Christians supposedly fighting the Hindus. But that's only at an intellectual level, at a media level, at a ground level, right down on the dharti of Bharat Mata. No Indian, whether he's Christian, whether he's Hindu or Muslim, is conflicting with each other. Do you conflict? Are you in conflict with me? I'm a Christian. Are you? Are you going to take a sword and chop me? No.
Not here.
Not here.
I mean, not this crowd.
Not this crowd.
There's some other crowd maybe.
So extremisms exist in every religion. But the percentage of extremism is limited by the number of sane people in the religious groups. Like I have been a voice against Islamic radicalism. Does that mean the Muslims are bad? The Indian Muslims are bad? No. The Islamic radicals are a danger to India. Same as those conversion pastors are a danger to India. You don't need to demonize Sanatan Dharma to preach your message of good news. And that's what religions are doing. So people ask me, are you against conversion? Of course I'm against conversion. I'm also against reconversion. I'm against the idea of making God a commodity. Where Sanatan Dharma is not about a God in an institution. Sanatan Dharma is about a God within you and around you. What is your first experience of God? If not your parents, if not your family, is there any other manifestation of God? So today, for an Indian Christian who believes that Jesus is his route of salvation, might differ from the Muslim, might differ from a Sikh, might differ from an Hindu. Is he the bad person? Just because his ancestors converted? Is he the rice bag? Today, even after working, even after risking my life on several issues that I have raised for this country, you still have absolute morons on social media who call me a rice bag. Who gave you that right? Who gave you that right to call a Christian a rice bag? Do you even know why he was persecuted? Do you even want to understand why they are converting? The hate that you propagate is the hate you will always get back. And Sanatan Dharma is not about hate. It is about being holistic in the approach towards humanism more than anything else. I am not saying we should not stand up for what is wrong. I am saying we should. Should we go after the conversion mafia? Yes. But what are the reasons those people are converting? For 70 years, why has conversion mafia gone after the poorest of the poor? Because they are the most vulnerable. Because they are the ones who what is it that they want? Roti, kapda, makan, education. Where our system failed as a government to provide for them, that is where we made inroads for other religions to penetrate. I'll give you a case, somewhere in Tamil Nadu only. This group of villagers converted to Islam. I think they didn't get much benefit. Then they converted to Christianity. There also they didn't get much benefit. Then they decided to convert back to being Hindus. Today, if I were to go to a poor person, offer him education, healthcare, jobs, provide his kids education abroad, and I've taken care of him, don't I become, by our own Indian Sanskriti, a god to him? And that's exactly what is happening. Therefore, we have to sensitize the issue. There is a lot of conflict, and yes, there is a lot of anger inside the Hindus, and I understand that anger. I have that anger too, which is why I stand up. Because when you insult the Hindu, you insult the majority of children of Bharat Mata. That is why I stand with you. Because my roots, whether I am a Christian by faith, my roots are Vedic, my roots are Hindu. How can I deny my roots? Denying my roots is denying my ancestry. Denying my roots is denying my connect with this very land. And I love this land. I love what it stands for. I love what it represents. As an Indian Christian, let me tell you, I am proud to belong to India. I am proud because there is no nation that is so truly secular as India. Because to be secular does not mean to accept all religions. To be secular means to accept no religion in matters of governance, and we are moving in that direction. Where the government does not have to do anything to you because you belong to a particular religion. It has to do it for you because you are a citizen of the country. Today, I go to every festival. I remember I went to Ganga for a snan, and it was a mind-blowing experience. So I put the vibhuti on my head and I posted it on social media. So I had a pastor say to me, "You and your family will be cursed by Jesus for generations for what you have done." So I replied back to him and I said, "I don't know which Jesus you are talking about. But the Jesus I know has told me, you've done a pretty decent job. You're spreading love." Right? Because really the two commandments of Jesus in the whole Bible that really makes any sense to me. I mean, I'm sure there are many other things in it. And I've read the Bible many times. I'm also a student of religion, of different religions. So I can tell you with some little bit of authority that the two commandments of Jesus, which was love God with all your heart and with your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself, is the governing principles of Christianity. And how is it different from the very principles of Sanatana Dharma? Everything else can be pulled out. You can pontificate about it. You can say this is right, this is wrong. Christians will pull it out of the Islamic books. Islamic guys will pull it out of the Hindu books, and we will all fight about it. And I'm saying at the base level of every religion is what? The basis of every religion is what? That the idea of God and His communication with His creation, which is humanity. Right? So religion is really a path that brings you to the door of spirituality. Problem is, we keep going around thinking it's a roundabout. So we don't open the door of spirituality. Sanatana Dharma is that spirituality. Therefore, when I decided to speak on this topic, divided by faith, united by culture, the truth is, it is culturally what we are united as Indians, as sons and daughters of Bharat Mata. Why do I say that? Whenever I leave my home, I take blessings from my parents. Whenever my children leave their home, they take blessings from us. Do you think that's a Western culture?
Hindu culture. No, Indian culture, not Hindu culture.
It is completely a Vedic Hindu culture. We are Hindustans, are we not? So what's there to be shy about it? This country is known as Hindustan. So today, our roots are Vedic, our roots are within this Hindu culture. I mean, Kamal Hassan doesn't think Cholas were part of the Hindu culture, but that's Kamal Hassan being Kamal Hassan, you know, and it's like Kamal Hassan is still a name while all of us are becoming humans. That's the analogy of Kamal Hassan's thought. But he's entitled to it, and that's the beauty of our culture, is that we listen to all sorts of rubbish. Right? We don't get enamored or aroused by it. But what's happening across the country in certain sections, okay, is an attempt to break this really principled stand of Sanatana Dharma. And how do you break a principled stand of Sanatana Dharma? Is by putting doubts into the minds of the Indian citizen that religion is his only prerogative to look at every situation. Put on your glass of religion and see. That's when everything gets blurred. So my honest submission to you, in all humility, is please, for God's sake, because that's really what religion is all about, for God's sake, take off your glasses that blind you to religion and look at the core essence of the religion itself, which is the creation of God, which is humanity, which is nature. And most of all, because we are born in this beautiful land of Sanatana Dharma, your responsibility, your duty is to Bharat Mata. Bharat Mata ki jai. Thank you very much.
Would you like to ask a question?
If Savio came with the Vibhuti today, you would have put there a Saivam.
I was actually looking for it, but
He was trying to, go back to Mr. Kamal Hassan.
Kamal Hassan got his publicity, that's what he wanted.
Exactly.
He's
all he
a
wanted.
very well educated person. Up to 3rd standard he studied.
No,
if you have any questions, I'm sorry.
Venkatesh had something.
I think you should not get flustered with
This
people
lady,
calling you right back.
Kavita.
Oh no, I'm not at all.
Yeah,
I find it amusing actually.
terrible, those guys. They have nothing.
I'm planning to take some rice fields in Goa, so maybe I can ship out a few rice fields.
Please.
Namaste, sir. I really respect that you have transcended from your consciousness from religion to a Dharmic thinking. So, my question is, you as an individual have had the blessing or the gift or the intelligence, however we should put it.
It's Ma Saraswati's blessing.
Yes. So, you have transcended that space. But I come from Kerala, the state of Kerala, where the demographics have hugely changed. The census is yet to be taken. And I belong to the Dharmic community. I'm a Hindu. So I just wanted to ask you, this may be a fact that every individual Christian, Indian, or Indian Christian or an Indian Muslim will be feeling this inside. But what about the future? Because especially when you're talking about demographics, it's all about power, and as democracy exists today, it is hugely dependent on demographics. So my simple question to you is, this realization that has come to you, how do you make it happen for other people in your community and the Muslim community?
Well, that's a very good question. Thank you so much for asking. So what we're trying to do, you see, there are a lot of people who are very, very committed to India from the Christian community, from the Muslim community as well. The whole idea is about giving them a voice, trying to reach out to them. See, mostly what happens in the Christian community, like if you see in Goa, because they have a lot of influence of the church and a lot of influence of the Christian organizations, sometimes they get carried away on issues of religion when instead of looking at it as far as the country is concerned. I don't think any Christian that I've met, other than the ones who genuinely don't like India, like I was when I was young, okay, does not want to be a part of the nation building process in India. I think many Christians are committed to the nation building process of India as an individual. It is only when the religion aspects comes in, that's when it gets sometimes trouble. Right? So I think the change is happening. The government has been doing something very wonderful, which is trying to go beyond religion. It's taking time. People would have thought it would have happened right at the start. We have a push and pull, because sometimes the Hindu community is fighting with the government saying, you are doing our work. Then the Christian community and the Muslim community saying, you are pro-Hindu, so you're against us. So it's caught in a sort of a dilemma. But that dilemma can only be changed when people like you and I say, I'm a Christian, most of you guys are Hindus. Is there a conflict between us? I have spoken certain things that you could have been upset about. Right? It's the same communications. The more we talk with people, the more we understand people, the more we, for a moment, conserve that anger, that hatred, and build bridges rather than burning bridges, this country's progress is inevitable. The only way you can break India is through a religious divide. It's been done time and again. There is no other strategy that our foreign enemies have ever used. Please look into history. Recent history will show you that it's always been religious divide. And that's exactly what they will do. Time and again, because we fall prey to that. A Christian is not an enemy of a Hindu. A Hindu is not an enemy of a Christian. And neither are we enemies of the Muslims. What are we enemies of? We are enemies of radicalization. We are enemies of the conversion mafia. We are enemies of the hate. Because Bharat Mata is not about hate. A mother cannot hate. Are you asking Mother India to choose between a Hindu child, a Christian child, or a Muslim child, or a Sikh child? Do you think she can make that choice? Do you think a mother can make that choice? So if in the eyes of Mother India we are all one, then where's the divide? Only our religious bias. That's the divide. So when I stand up fighting for Hindu rights, I'm doing it because you are my brothers and sisters. You're not enemies to me. So when you stand up for Christians, like when I was getting attacked, it was the Hindu community that came and supported me in Goa. The gentleman who's now the governor of Himachal Pradesh, Mr. Rajendra Alekar, was the only politician in Goa who called me when I was being severely attacked. On social media, the family getting calls. He was the only guy who called me and said, "You please come and stay in my house in Pune. You're a man this country needs. Nothing will touch you, and nobody will touch you. I'm with you." This is Mr. Rajendra Adekar. And today for this man, who's now the governor, that is what Sanatana Dharma is about. That is exactly what Sanatana Dharma is about. When the Hindu community comes out to support the Christian community. Today, when people call me rice bag on social media, it is the Hindu community that comes out and supports, "No, this guy is not a rice bag." And I haven't given them rice bags to say that. Right? So what is the solution? Communication. The solution is communication.
This is regarding the division by faith. I owe everything to the education, everything. I have done with Salesians, Roman Catholics, as well as the CSI. Never ever throughout, nobody asked me to convert, or they never had any reference to religion. Now, with that type of cohesiveness, our groups are formed and we are just now, the latest trend is that any amount of trying to explain the way you are saying that no, this is not the way that we in general look at things, like majority versus minority. So we keep telling do's, don'ts, whatever, but it doesn't reach because of the very fact what you told is that it's a fear psychosis. Now it has come. So in your opinion, how to cross this boundaries, like in terms of do's or don'ts, whatever, how to cross, because as you rightly said, everybody is a part, and a person who loves India would like to have a unified force, not have a divisive force. It's not possible today. So in your opinion, how to cross this boundary and send this message by not words, by deeds, or maybe whatever efforts we can, to send this word that no, majority is not looking at, as you rightly said, maybe few people are in the social media that gets highlighted. But majority is certainly not feeling it, that you have rightly brought out. But what else are we supposed to do? Because if majority tells something, today's scenario is that other faith cannot take it. Same, vice versa, when they tell also, like it's happening with Islamic religion. They keep telling, no, we are all not. But then majority of the people are not. So there should be some way of like a solution. Yes, we speak, we do all this. But in your opinion, sir, since you had crossed and you had seen this, so is there any particular thing which you can message or anything which we can?
You see, conflicts are always going to arise, and that happens in all parts of the world, and that happens primarily because we are humans at the end of the day, and we carry a lot of baggages. Right? Unless you arise from within yourself to bring about the change. Okay? Unless you arise within yourself to bring about the change. Why has that realization come to me? Why am I a dharmic follower right now? It's because I understand that it is Sanatana Dharma in a world of conflict. That is the beacon of light. This entire world is in conflict. Not only India. Look at the world around you. It is a conflict, and the major religions are Christianity and Islam, which is at the forefront of the conflict. And in that conflict itself, the light is Sanatana Dharma. The light that will change, the light that will bring peace, the light that spreads love in this world is Sanatana Dharma. Because Sanatana Dharma is not based on religion. It's based on the very principles of humanity. That is why is Prime Minister Modi being able to deal with conflicts in different parts of the world, and why are they looking at India as a Vishwa Guru right now? Because of that light. The light that emanates from the Sanatana Dharma principle. It doesn't matter if you're Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh. What matters is your connect with people. Your humanity. Do you know how they live in the Western world? how materialistic they are. Today you will still find a grandmother or a great-grandmother in a home in India, living together in a family. Do you find that in the US? Do you find that anywhere in Europe? That is Sanatana Dharma. Those are the principles. You don't need to convince anybody. You just have to live your life. Live your life and be the example of Sanatana Dharma.
Thanks for the wonderful work that you've done today. I have one question and one supporting fact. I quote from the Thiruvalangadu plates of Rajendra Chola, verse 70. It talks about having noticed the marks of Vishnu. Prince Arunmozhi was seen as Vishnu himself. That's how Rajendra talks about Arunmozhi, who later became Rajaraja Chola. So there was no question of him, of who he was worshipping. But I come to a larger question, which I feel I and T.R. Ramesh have a problem, especially in Tamil Nadu, with the land that are bestowed on temples. I was in Goa last month. There's a large tract of land that is currently administered by churches. How are they able to collect their rentals, wherein in Tamil Nadu you are not able to get even 3 and 4 rupees from our tenants? Is there anything special that the church employs there?
Okay. So a lot of the acquisition of land that is in Goa, both past and recent, are a combination of acquisitions that were done either through force at that point of time or through consideration of giving it to the Catholic Church at that time. So let's say in a place like Nagaland, for example, we have a church called the Rosary Church, which is about 400 odd years. Right? So people at that point of time used to donate these lands to... I'll explain it in this way. The Union Minister Kishan Reddy some months ago came to Goa and made a very interesting statement that I supported, which was for him for the central government and the state government to work together to allocate funds towards the renovations of the Catholic churches in Goa, the historic churches, which I supported. During the elections, the Chief Minister of Goa made a statement that we will set aside 20 crores for the restoration of temples destroyed in the Portuguese rule. I supported that as well. Okay. A few weeks ago, I made a statement to remind the government that we should set up this fund. Before setting up this fund, we must commission a study to understand which are the historic churches that need renovation and what is the tourism potential that we can get out of it. So we have a certain section of group of people who are of course zealous in their own way, who have started to say that now this guy's real face has come out. He's now asking for the church. I said, my face is the same. Okay. My hair falls a little bit, so my hair might be a little less. Right? But the face is the same. There's no mask here. If I could support for the construction of the temple, can I not support the Union Minister's demand for a renovation of the historic churches? They are a part of history. History, good or bad, is history, right? It is our history that will teach us what we have to do in our present so that we build a better future for our kids. That is why when somebody says, oh, do you talk about the Goa Inquisition? Of course I talk about it. It's a reality. Why should I hide from it? There were atrocities committed on our people. That's the truth, right? By denying it, what are we gaining? Should the Pope apologize for it? Well, he set an example in other parts of the world. So I'm not wrong in asking for the Pope to apologize for the atrocity committed on the indigenous people in Goa. Our people. Why? Because that's the truth. And you have set an example by doing it in other countries. Does that make me a bad Christian and a good Hindu? I don't even know what that means anymore. Right? So, yes, you will have different ways in which states function. You will have issues in Tamil Nadu, you will have issues in Kerala, you will have issues even in Goa. But the fact of the matter is, I believe that there are two things that you need to do. One is either government controls all religious institutions? When I mean temples, churches, mosques, or government controls nothing? It's as simple as that. So when somebody asks me, do you advocate free temples? I say, of course. Because the mosque and the churches are not under government control. So either you control all or you control none. Right? And that is secularism. Secularism is not saying that, okay, we'll control only the Hindu temples. And I was having this major discussion with my big brother Samir when we were in Chandigarh a couple of weeks ago. And I told him, I said, the problem are the Hindus themselves. You are fighting everybody else, but you have not even looked into the constitution where they decided to take control of the temples. Who is to be blamed for that? The Christian? Am I to be blamed for that? Or the Muslim? These sins of the past are what is reflecting now. The sins of our past is reflecting now. So if we are in this situation today, it is because we have not been assertive enough. We might have been aggressive, and we are aggressive even now, but we are not assertive. And there's a huge difference between being aggressive and being assertive. And be assertive, you'll get your work done. So Hindus must rise up to protect Sanatan Dharma. Christians must rise up to protect Sanatan Dharma. Why? Because the roots are the same. Thank you.
Mr. Sai Krishna.
I hope I didn't bore you guys.
Jayapriya and Sai Krishna too.